Alright, so attaching the bottom and the top. Now I've already put the bottom on there, or it could be the top, either way you like. But I didn't put the little coils in there, and it's kind of a reason, but I'll do that in a second. I wanted to make sure that they were a little bit wet. One thing, please, 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 with the clay boards, okay, don't leave your work on them. Don't put them on the shelves. I don't have enough for 2 classes. I need like 65 of them. So make sure every time that you're putting this on top of the tray, put it on top of the tray. You can work on the boards, you can work on the table even. You know, really we only need the boards for if you're rolling the slabs out. All right, so I'm ready to go to attach this final piece. So I have it scored both, and I've got my water here. Put my water on. And it's a good idea to do both sides. So I got this side too. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and attach those in a minute. But I got ahead of myself because I need to first get those coils in there. So I got a couple sticking here in the water, so I'm just going to plop one in. Kind of squish that in the corner. Again, you can get a wood tool in there. I'm holding this on the side so that when I push out, it does not push the wall of my box out. That's pretty good. I can even use my brush handle to kind of get it in there. It depends on how smooth you want the inside of the box. Now, if the little coils you've made are kind of too dry, then I can get you some more wet clay that will be a little easier to get in there. Okay, make sure you're doing this not on the table. Make sure you're doing it on the tray, because this will come off the tray easier than it will on the table. All right, so let's pretend that I'll go ahead and do one more. Now it's okay, there's water in there. That's not a problem. If there's a ton of water in there, you can get one of the little round clay sponges and you can put those in there as well. Or I can just kind of dump it out a little bit. All right, so I've got my box. It was okay that this water sat on here a little bit. It kind of softened things up. I'm going to put this on. I kind of bumped that a little bit, so I'll re-scratch that, make sure all my sides are good. Need a little extra water there. Make sure we're able to see this really well. All right, so then I'm just going to make sure that my lip is pushed up a little bit. And I'm just going to set it in there. And I did a pretty darn good job eyeballing that first square that I made. Rather pleased with that. Okay, so we can kind of do a couple of things here. So we have to kind of finesse this in because it's a little bit off. So I'm going to be holding it here against it and pushing, because when I push, the wall is going to want to go out this way. And I'm just kind of with a flat finger and a flat finger kind of pinching those together until I no longer have a crevice in between. Now this one's a little further out, so I'm going to push this in more and not push down as much. So I'm just kind of pushing in this from the side, not really pushing down. Now I'm rotating this. That's why it's good to have this on the tray so that I can easily maneuver this around. So this one I can kind of do both. So I'm pushing that together, pushing that together. You might say, hey, Mr. Davis, how do I put those little coils on the inside? I'll show you that in a bit. All right, so now I can kind of clean that up with my fingers a little bit. I could use this clay sponge if I really wanted to. I could also come in here with the rib and get a really nice edge on there. That's like a super nice one right there. So you can make it as sharp as you want. Okay, but then you gotta make sure that you don't bump it or touch it or anything else, and it gets a little hard when there's lots of these on the shelves. All right, so like, wow, okay, Mr. Davis, I've made a cube. Well, now what? I don't have a top. How am I gonna get that? What am I supposed to do with the top? Well, you just kind of have to pick a side. And so I'm going to go back over here. And I'm going to use this as the side because I already did this and this is a little bit more firmed up. So before I start, I'm going to go in here and fix my corners a little bit. Oops, get that little piece off there. All right, so to make the lid, all we're going to do is we're just going to be cutting into our little cube or pyramid however you want. So you have to think about, well, what kind of lid shape do I want? Do I want to just go straight across? That would be functional, but it would not be super, super interesting. I could maybe do waves. I could do jaggedy zigzags. If you're going to do zigzags, you know, make sure that it's kind of like cutting the top of your carving into a pumpkin, creating a jack-o'-lantern. Right, you don't want to cut crazy shapes in there, but you want to have something that's kind of interesting, right? I've had students kind of cut a lid that's like on a corner. It's kind of a neat thing. So I'm going to, first I'm just going to kind of draw it. I'm just going to sort of go, all right, I'm going to just kind of do a curve like that. And then I'll draw it on this one. Maybe I'll do like that. And we don't want to go too far down because then our lid's going to be too big. There, and then maybe like that. All right, so that's kind of an interesting looking lid. And now I'm just going to cut into it. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to clean off my knife tool so it's nice and clean. And I'm going to hold it against this side while I do this, either with your thumb. I'm going to put it in there and I'm going to just cut through. I'm going to rotate that rather than rotating everything else. And it's okay if it's a little off, because like I was a little off right here. We can come back and fix that. And I'll just rotate it again. Holding here. And now we're just going to kind of go around and make sure that that's totally cut. Kind of finesse it off a little bit. And I've got my top. So now I can go in here and I can go ahead and do those coils. Okay. Now I want to clean these up a little bit. So you don't want to do too much to the lip itself. But you can come in and you can clean up any of the little outside bits where you cut it. Like I could clean up this right here and just erase that with my finger. Clean that up a little bit. Because of course, this will match up with this other side. So I don't want, you know, I might want to clean it up just a little bit. I'm going to kind of take my fingers. Like this is a really good one. I don't want to touch that. But this is a little wonky. Because you want this to fit back together. And I'll just clean that off a little bit. And I want to try to get any little clay chunks, the little ones, off. Because anything sticking could very well glue itself to your box in the kiln, and we don't want that. So we want these nice and smooth because we're going to be focusing on glazing these things when we're done. All right, so I've kind of prettied it all up. Like so. Again, don't do it too much, otherwise you'll have a gap in there. And I'm going to not set this back on here. I'm going to go, I mean, I guess I could. Now I have to remember which way it went. There it goes. Gee, I'm not even doing it right. There we go. I suppose I could leave that on there like that. Then but go around it. Make sure you've cleaned up any of the edges. If you do leave it on like a lid, if you do leave this on, this will keep this. It will trap the air in there, or it'll trap the moisture because it's kind of like, it's like a lid, so that this won't dry out. But if you've got it like this and you have it set aside on your tray, then it will dry out a little bit faster. But really, you don't need to do a whole lot more but to the box. The only thing that I would do is this one is to go back and add the coil on the inside here, just to make sure that that's a really good solid little box, because these things, could pop apart. Mine's pretty well constructed, so it's pretty good to go. But now you got to think about, well, what am I going to maybe do to my box? Now you can keep the box as it is. It can be a little box or a cube. You can totally have that. You could create a handle. So like if you wanted to create a handle, I might like set this like this. Maybe I want just like a little knob of some sort. So maybe, I'm going to roll a little, that's too big. Get a little ball, get a little water on that. It's getting a little dry. There we go. And I'll just make that into a little ball. And maybe I just want like a simple little ball like that on there. I would probably want to tap it flat on the table a little bit. Get it to where it doesn't have any creases. And I could just score and slip that just on like that. And when you do it, just push, give it a couple little twisty turns, and it will be magically on there. It could be a coil. Coil masters at this point. Now, if it's a coil, it may kind of break on you. Maybe I want it a little flat, and then maybe I want to cut it here, and then maybe I want to sort of bend it. It's a little off, and then maybe I'll tap it on my table so I'll have nice little flat spots, and I could score and slip that on there. Okay. I could also give my box some feet. That is an option. All right, so I could maybe, if I wanted to put feet on there, maybe I just, put some little cubes or something like that on there. It just kind of depends. I could actually make feet that look like feet. So those are all optional. So handles and feet are totally optional if you are wanting to do that. But again, it's all about creating as nice straight sides and nice pointy edges as you can. And again, sort of to clean that up at the end, you can take the rib and you can kind of go up like so to fix that edge again. And then the fun part is once we get to the glazing and underglazing, we can get a pencil in here, we can draw all kinds of designs, we can like get some small brushes out here and really have some fun while we add patterns and designs to our box using the glaze and the underglaze.